the equivalent of a rope you have up here? I think it should come down. I don't want anybody feeling
Okay, we can do that. Would
stressed.
that make everyone feel stressed?
Okay. Hi, guys. Lily.
Catherine.
Senator, obviously Bernie Sanders has been doing big events here in Iowa. He's really rising in the polls. Wondering how you're feeling about the growing momentum he's seeing here, and what you're going to be doing in Iowa about that.
Well, I'm doing exactly what I want to do in Iowa. We've been in the campaign a little less than 3 months. It'll be 3 months on Sunday. And I am having the opportunity to meet with and listen to Iowans across the state and find out what's on their minds, find out what they're worried about, what they're hoping for. And I think that's the strongest base on which to build a good campaign heading toward the caucuses. I also think, look, this is going to be competitive. It should be competitive. It's only the presidency of the United States we're talking about. So, the more the better. Let's get everybody out there. Let's get everybody, working hard, running their own campaigns, and then we'll leave it up to Iowa to decide what happens in February.
Mark, KCRG.
You had a lot of issues today, particularly the shooting at the Coral Ridge Mall recently. You talked a little about gun control. How important of an issue is that to you?
It's important. It's been important to me for a long time because I think there is a very clear path to protecting the rights of gun owners and following the Second Amendment while doing more to keep guns out of the hands of people that should not have them. And I feel very strongly about that. To me, it's a critical safety issue, and we've seen too many mass shootings in our country, and we've seen too many of the kind of tragedies that you had here just last month. So I am strongly supporting it and hoping that we can make some progress on this issue.
Jen Epstein.
Thanks, Secretary.
And then we'll take one more.
So the people of Greece rejected a bailout tied to more austerity measures. Do you agree with Senator Sanders, who just mentioned, in saying that is the right way to go, or is that a mistake? And kind of, related to that, do you think that the Obama administration has done enough to help Greece and to help stabilize the situation? And on top of that, do you think that Wall Street has been culpable in sort of egging on this whole process, including your own son-in-law?
Well, let me answer it this way. I think what's happened in Greece is a tragedy. Their gross national product has dropped by 25%. They have youth unemployment over 50%. People are suffering. Pensioners are really worrying that they're not going to be able to afford food. So I think it's imperative that there be an agreement worked out with Greece, and I urge the Europeans to exert every effort to find one. Greece is a NATO ally. It's a member of the European Union. The United States has a great, active, successful Greek-American community. So I want to see a resolution. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's up to the Greek people to decide what they're willing to do. And I hope that we can see an outcome here that will actually help Greece recover and keep them in the Eurozone and keep Europe united.
Secretary
Clinton, you said in New Hampshire that China was hacking into everything that doesn't move in America, including government systems. How should the United States retaliate?
Well, I think first of all, we have to face up to the fact that we have a serious problem. And it's not only the Chinese. We know that other governments, Russia, North Korea, Iran, have either directly or indirectly sponsored hacking. We know that groups of hackers, and we worry about terrorist organizations getting access to the capacity. And it's obviously, for me, as Secretary of State, it started with the grave concerns that a lot of American businesses had, that their most confidential information was being vacuumed up through intrusive hacking. So I think, number one, the United States, both our government and the private sector, have to recognize this is a serious threat. It's a serious threat to our commercial interests, to our intelligence interests, to our strategic interests. We've been trying to get a good plan going forward. We're making a little bit of progress on that in the Congress. It's, for me, not enough. It doesn't go far enough to try to have better coordination between the public and the private sector. And we need to accelerate our efforts to protect government information. And by that I mean that we have very cumbersome procurement and bureaucratic obstacles within the federal government to moving us into the 21st century. And in fact, we saw that with a lot of the problems in the Affordable Care Act rollout, because trying to get a contract, trying to work within the constraints of the government, the Congress and the executive branch must work together to clear the way for the use of the best technology we can, both to store and collect as well as protect their information.
Secretary Clinton, Secretary
San Francisco.
Lily gets to call on people.
Secretary Clinton, your comments today responding to the man who asked about the military use.
Yes.
It sounds like you still have regrets about your Iraq war vote, and I wonder if that creates an opening for Senator Sanders and others to question your foreign policy decisions.
Well, that's up to people to decide. I've said that I was wrong, and I certainly am willing to not only admit that, but to point out that I think working with the Obama administration, we did exercise the kind of smart power that I think needs to be the hallmark of our security policy. So I think I am very well prepared and very grounded in what will work in dealing in a very complicated world. This is a multi-polar, challenging world that we have to get right on so many different fronts, and I think I bring a level of understanding and experience to the race that would do me well in the White House.
We'll take the last one from Secretary Clinton. Do you agree with John Kerry's assessment that Iran disclosing its past military experimentation with nuclear technology is less important than curbing future use? And would you agree with an agreement that did not make Iran come clean on its past activity?
You know, Amy, I don't think it's useful for me to publicly comment right now on what the negotiations are attempting to resolve. I think I've been very clear that we must never permit Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I am very proud of the role I've played in building the coalition and the sanctions that brought Iran to the negotiating table. But there are a number of issues that are critically important. There needs to be full transparency, disclosure, and verifiable inspections going forward. And certainly any part of the Iranian nuclear or military establishment that has anything to do with the program past, present, and future needs to be subject to that.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.